Hello, welcome back to the Allowance Academy. Today we're going to talk about expense tracking for teens. How do we keep track of expenses? An important thing to learn as we're learning to manage money is figuring out where the money is gone, and we can start managing it better going forward. So we're going to talk about two things today. Talk about good budget, which is one of our favorites for the kids. And we're also going to talk about Mint, which is good for older teens, maybe even for adults too, if there's some adults out there who aren't doing this yet. Good budget is great for kids in that it lets you set up envelopes. If you've been through the Dave Ramsey program, you've got the cash and envelope system, and you put money into the envelope, so when the money is gone, you stop spending it. And that gets a little more difficult when you've got a debit card or a prepaid spending card that you're using, because it's kind of all in one envelope. Well, Good Budget lets you set up multiple virtual envelopes. You can always see what's in them. You track your expenses, and it counts against those envelopes on a really nice website. They've also got an app for your phone, for iPhone or for Android, and it's really easy to use. I'm actually going to jump over, and we can take a look at it. This is the login page for Good Budget, or the home page rather. I'm going to go to the login page and log in with my test account that I set up just to show some of this stuff. It's not the right one. Oh, maybe that is the right one. Financial Franny, that's her. So what we see is we've got a section here where we've got the envelopes. I have two envelopes in this case, one for activities and one for food. When you first start out, you won't have any envelopes at all, but it's really easy to add. So I'm going to actually add another envelope and say that allowance is going up, and we're now having a charity category as well, and you're going to get an allowance of $10 a month for charity. Okay. Which makes a total monthly allowance of $85. All right. Now, let's imagine that we're going to pay out some allowance. It's the first of the month, so I'm going to pay envelope. I'm going to pay out. I'm going to pay out the allowance. I'm going to click on the fill envelopes. I put $85 into the kid's account, so $85. We're going to call this Dad, and it's going into my account. In the free version, there's one account available. If you wanted to pay for Good Budget, you could actually link it to several different checking accounts or debit card accounts. But for kids getting started, having one account is going to work just fine. So we're going to add it into my account, and we're going to put $55 here. We're going to put $20 here. And we're going to put $10 here. I think you can also choose a quick fill. You can say, you can add to all according to what the allowance is. So that'll just automatically add those amounts. And we can put a little note here saying, thanks, Dad. And now we'll see in our transactions. We'll see all the transactions. We started with $75 at the first allowance. We spent $5 on school lunch. $5 on school lunch, $44 on Legos, and now $85 has come in. So to add a transaction, that's also pretty easy to do. To add a transaction, just click right here. So what was it? It was today. Enter the date. It was today, and I went to Target, and I spent $12, and I spent it out of food. I had a sumptuous dinner in the Target cafe and bought some snacks. I did not pay via check, and I can even say what it was. It was corn dogs. Save it and see what it's done. It's put $12 in, spent at Target out of the food budget, and it also subtracted that $12 from my food envelope. So before I did this, I actually had $30 in my food envelope. I now have 18. We see this little green bar as this goes down. We see how much of the monthly allowance we've spent or how much of the envelope we've spent. So it's a real easy way to maintain this. What we did with this was when we started giving our kids an allowance, they had fewer categories. They might have one or two. And it was their job to keep track of this stuff on the web or on their phone. Trust me, kids can do this. They're probably better at this than the parents are. And then when it came time for the allowance meeting at the end of the month, we would say, okay, well, where did you spend your money? How did the month go? They've got this report that they can bring up on their computer or on their phone or on their iPad. They know exactly where they spent their money. And then you go into their, if they've got a debit card or a prepaid card, you can actually see what their balance is. So this says there's $94 on the card. We said that they actually had to balance at the end of the month, that the amount of money that was supposed to be in the card was actually there. And as long as they accounted for all the money coming in and all the money going out, those things are going to balance. If they balanced, we gave them wasn't a surprise, we gave them a bonus. We gave them a $5 bonus for having all of their financial accounts in order every month, kind of a reward for being diligent. It would happen sometimes, especially these sorts of things. You're going to Target and you're going to spend some money on a slushie or something. Sometimes those transactions didn't get written down. And at the end of the month, you'd look and say, I'm $6 short. Where did that $6 go? And at that point, you can go and look at the online statement for the debit card and say, well, there's a $6 charge at Target. What was that? And then the kid says, oh, yeah, that's right. I bought slushies. So this is good budget. This is all there is. There's a little bit more. You can do things like setting up goals. You can link multiple accounts. That's the Good Budget Plus piece. But for kids getting started, this is a great tool. Have your kids set up this account right now. They can keep track of their cash. If that's how they're doing it, they can keep track of a debit card or a prepaid spending card. However you're giving them an allowance is how they'll do it. In fact, our kids started on the cash system. They actually had one big envelope that had all their cash in it, but this is the way they kept track of which category that cash corresponded to. All right. I also said we were going to talk about Mint. And Mint is a great program. It is a great tool for teens and for older kids who have multiple accounts and who have more online spending or electronic spending. It's probably a pretty good account for adults too. Managing multiple accounts, automatically tracking expenses, that's one of the biggest advantages of this program. And the ability to track investments and loans and goals and charting progress. I mean, it's got a lot of powerful features that way that we're not going to touch at all. I'm just going to go over some of the basics and maybe try to convince you, if you've got a teen, to get them into Mint, or if you're not tracking your expenses at all, to get you into Mint as well. I am going to jump. Actually, this is pre-recorded content from last year, rather than re-recording all this over again. So pay no attention to the name at the bottom and the name at the top when we were 401k Kids. Same people, same company, just changed our name to more closely reflect what we're doing with teaching kids how to manage money. So, here's an example. Adding accounts. We've had over the years a number of different accounts with Chase. For example, we had this credit card that was closed. This is one of our current accounts. We've got two of our travel hacking. We're getting miles for various programs. One with Marriott. I'll have to go in and check and see why there's $6 on that card. I'm sure it renewed something for $6. Gonna go check that out. And then these are Tracy's accounts down here. She had a vehicle loan. She had a Disney Visa card with a no balance, and then a Fairmont Visa that we used for our honeymoon. That's now closed. It has also got our retirement accounts. So all of our accounts, I think we've got like 25 accounts now that are in Mint. And every day, Mint just goes out and downloads these transaction information and updates it for us and gives us a total view of our complete financial picture. So, some of the things they can do, like here's for one of our bank accounts. This is all the transactions that it has downloaded for looks like about the last 2 months. You can see some donations to church, some insurance payments, the dentist, and so on. It downloads all of these for us, and then it puts them into categories for us. So we got charity, we got dentist, auto and home insurance, credit card payments are listed as transfers. So it's taking a lot of this work out for us. If a transaction comes through and we don't have anything coded yet for it, so like let's say it's the first payment to American Family, And Mint would say that it's uncategorized right here. It would say, I don't know what this is, uncategorized. Well, we hit this Edit Details tab, hit this button right here that says Edit Details, and you get a new window that comes up, and we say, I want to make this auto and home insurance. We'd hit this drop down, and we'd say, always record this from the future, in the future, as auto and home insurance. Now, every time it gets American Family coming through with this label on it, it's going to code it as auto and home insurance. So we'll be able to track it. We'll know what we're spending in that category. What's really cool is that after you start using this for a little while, say you're using this at your house and you're just starting out on the whole budgeting thing. In fact, you're not even budgeting yet. You're at the stage where you're just tracking expenses. You're going to want to look at, what do we spend on groceries? So here is from the grocery detail page. I went to the budget page and I hit my grocery budget, and it's going to tell me what it thinks. Mint is going to tell me what I should use for a grocery budget. And it's going to show me what I've spent on groceries for the last 6 months. This is really cool. I mean, let's assume that I haven't done any budgeting at all, and I'm looking at my monthly budget, and it says historically I've spent about $400 a month on groceries. I know that there's some distortions here. I'm going to put $550 a month, and that's the amount that we're going to put aside, and we're going to use as our groceries budget. It'll do this for all of your budget categories. It'll do this for if you have a category that's kids, which I encourage you to do. So we'll put all of our allowances in there. We'll put all the money we spend on kids. We'll put the money that we spend on their clothes, their activities, and then we know over the course of the year how much we're spending on kids. That gives us a great picture of what we should be putting into their allowance if we want them to be managing that same money. So Mint is keeping track of this stuff for you. You're not even entering any of this information. It's just keeping track of it all for you. Mint is pretty awesome. And that's it. I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit about Good Budget and Mint, especially if you hadn't seen those before. I can't encourage you enough to get out there and start. It might look, even though it was kind of simple and it was an overview, it might look like it's complicated or a little overwhelming. Trust me, it's not. Just take baby steps. If you have any questions at all, leave a comment right here at the bottom of this page, and I can help you out, or send me an email. I do not mind giving personal one-on-one help to people as they're setting up their budgets, because it's really usually just a little sticking point. I can help you through it, and then you'll be off and running. Thanks for joining me. Go raise some financially savvy kids.